Stephanie McMahon gets kidnapped. Where to, Stephanie? Hello there, I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com and welcome to How WWE Should Have Booked, where I look back at infamous WWE missed booking opportunities and talk about how I would book them differently because I'm a smartass. So, this week we're looking at the higher power angle, what happened after The Undertaker went super weird in 1998 and 1999. He basically turned into a druid and formed the Ministry of Darkness, which was his own private satanic death army. It was a bit uncomfortable because he spent most of his time kidnapping women and calling them sluts, or crucifying Stone Cold Steve Austin, or trying to embalm Stone Cold Steve Austin. So the higher power angle went as follows. Undertaker started attacking Vince McMahon because he claimed to be working for a higher power who has the key to Vince McMahon's soul. At this point, I should point out, if it turns out to be Vince McMahon, this angle's really stupid. So, Undertaker goes after Vince McMahon. He burns a symbol on his lawn. He kidnaps Stephanie McMahon, burns her teddy. Oh, the humanity. He abducts Stephanie from Backlash. Where to, Stephanie? And the next night he tries to marry her in a dark satanic wedding ceremony thing. It's really uncomfortable because it's heavily implied that he's going to rape and impregnate her, which is... No. So, Austin comes out, beats up The Undertaker. In amongst all this mess, Austin loses his title to The Undertaker at Over the Edge. And then it's revealed who the higher power has been. Vince McMahon. So yes, Vince McMahon was the higher power. It makes zero sense. He said he did it to fool us, to make a fool of Stone Cold Steve Austin, to teach Stone Cold Steve Austin a lesson. What lesson? That you're bat that you're willing to sacrifice your daughter for what exactly? It made no sense. Classic example of the writers booking themselves into a corner. And I can do it better. So, okay. When dealing with how to book the higher power angle better, you need to make a decision. Do you want to keep Vince McMahon as the higher power and make everything else different to make it make sense? Or do you want to keep most of the stuff the same and make the higher power different? Yes! Well, I've chosen the second one. I can rebook the first one if you want, but the second one is I would make the higher power Jake the Snake Roberts. Now, you have to deal with a caveat here because it's pretty well known that during 1999, Jake the Snake was in a bad way. In 1996, he fell off the wagon hard with booze and drugs. And it was even made into a quite uncomfortable feud with Jerry the King Lawler in 1996 itself. So what happens is the company might see Jake the Snake Roberts as too much of a liability to bring on the team, but that's not the case and it shouldn't be. Basically what they should do is just, prove they're a caring company, the caring company they would soon become. They hire him a spotter, like a health guru, like DDP would later become, to spot him, help him through it, someone whose job it is to make sure he is in control. You know, say, hey, we have faith in you being able to do this, come in and be in one of our flagship storylines, and he will return that kindness, hopefully. You treat people who are suffering with respect and encouragement, hopefully they turn around and give it back. So, that caveat out of the way, it may be unlikely, but Jake the Snake Roberts is the higher power. Okay, so before WrestleMania, we start with The Undertaker wanting to feud with Vince McMahon. Now, Vince McMahon's busy with The Rock versus Stone Cold, so we can't deal with that. That's too precious. So instead, Undertaker starts going after Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon's demon seed. So yes, he takes a lot of Shane McMahon's precious childhood possessions into the ring and he burns them. He burns them because a higher power demands a sacrifice. Shane McMahon comes out, he gets attacked by the Ministry, and they burn him too. They burn like his leg or his arm, something like the Attitude Era would do. People like fire, right? So this culminates at WrestleMania in a Hell in a Cell match. Undertaker versus Shane McMahon. Basically, they're in a Hell in a Cell to keep the corporation and the Ministry separate. This is just their deal. Undertaker destroys Shane McMahon. He bloodies him against the cage. He completely wrecks his face, gives him tombstone after tombstone after tombstone. And then after the match is done, they raise the cage and he is led away, put into a trunk of a car, and then they drive off with Shane McMahon. Next night we see Stephanie coming out. She's concerned about Shane, as she should be. She says to Vince, please, you're Shane's father. We need to find him. Aren't you worried? And Vince is like, yes, I am worried, but I have to deal with Austin at Backlash. Don't worry, put a pin in it. I'll be right back. Before Backlash, we see lots of promos of The Undertaker. He's in a dark room. He's got Shane McMahon tied up in chains behind him. He's beating Shane McMahon, saying, your father doesn't love you, blah-de, 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 blah-de. Come and get him if you dare. Ha 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 ha. Higher power wants a sacrifice. At Backlash, Austin retains his title versus The Rock, finishing off that feud. Then at the end, like it happens in real life, Stephanie McMahon gets kidnapped. Where to, Stephanie? So what happens after that? Well, Vince McMahon comes out, both his children have been taken, and he's like, okay, let's get serious now. And he's like, damn it, Undertaker, get your ass out here, etc. Austin comes out, says, I don't give a rat's ass about any of these damn McMahons. It looks like they're about to fight. The Undertaker appears on the Titantron. He's standing in a dark room. To his left is chained up Stephanie McMahon. To his right, chained up Shane McMahon. He starts using biblical phrases, refers to them as his Adam and Eve. I'm saying, like, the higher power demands these sacrifices. He demands it. So, higher power, more shenanigans happen over the month, but the match is set at Over the Edge. Undertaker versus Stone Cold for Stone Cold's championship with Vince McMahon as a special guest referee. And Undertaker, knowing of course that Vince McMahon is not on his side, says to him, Vince, if you award me the championship, I will give you back your children, and the higher power will reveal himself. So, Over the Edge, Austin hits Undertaker with the stunner, but Vince can't do it. He can't count. He wants his kids back. Austin gets in his face, turns around, tombstone. McMahon reluctantly counts 1, 2, 3. Oh no. So Austin's lost the title, and The Undertaker is now the Phenom champion. Next night on Raw, Vince McMahon comes out and he's like, I've had it with this higher power crap. Austin comes out and says, listen man, you screwed me, but it was your family on the line, and I understand why you did it. They shake hands, but then Austin leans in and says, but you still cost me the title, you son of a bitch, and stunners McMahon. He helps McMahon up, gets on the mic and says, now bring out the man's damn kids. Out comes Undertaker. With the ministry, they crowd around the ring with the higher power. The higher power is there. He's hooded. Go know who he is. So, ministry surround the ring, and the children are released. Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon, they join their father and they hug him. And then the higher power reveals himself to be Jake the Snake Roberts. But why, Jake? Why have you done this? Well, 2 reasons. I hate Austin, and I hate McMahon. I hate Austin because 3 years ago at King of the Ring, he turned me into his damn catchphrase, Austin 316. He made me out to be a damn old fool. He whipped my ass and then boasted about it, and I've never forgiven him. I hate McMahon because he knew I was going through troubles. He knew I was in the darkest place of my possible life. And what he did? He turned me into a damn sideshow. He put me in a feud with Jerry the King Lawler, and he mocked me and my illness on television. I've never forgiven either man. God told me I should forgive Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin, but I can't forgive them. So I made myself God. And then he says, I cost Austin the WWF Championship, and now I'm going to cost Vince McMahon his son. At this point, Shane McMahon attacks Vince. He's been brainwashed. Oh no. He attacks Vince, and the ministry go after Austin. They bloody Austin and they bloody Vince McMahon. And then in the lead up to King of the Ring, lots of promos. The higher power, Undertaker on one side, Shane on the other. He is mighty. He is powerful. At this time, DX starts feuding with the ministry. Remember that. Then what happens? It all comes down to King of the Ring. 3 years ago, the place where Roberts received his biggest humiliation. King of the Ring. Austin and Vince McMahon versus Undertaker and Shane McMahon. Whoever gets the pin wins the title. Now, it looks like the babyfaces are going to go over. However, lights go out, and then when lights come back up, the hooded figure is in the ring. You think it's going to be Roberts. He reveals himself, Triple H, the leader of DX. What? Swerve! Because DX has been dealing with the Ministry and all their shenanigans for weeks now. But no, the leader of DX abandons them, joins the Ministry, pedigrees Vince McMahon, and almost breaks his damn neck doing it. Undertaker pins him, so Undertaker retains the title, and Vince McMahon is carried off on a stretcher. He's written out of TV for months. He comes back later in September, and it's already set up his angle with Triple H. Handy that. So we're going into Fully Loaded. The match is Austin versus Undertaker. If Austin loses, his career is over, so saith the higher power. In the lead up to this match, Stephanie is pleading with Shane McMahon. She goes to him, she says, I put my life on the line. I exposed myself in this business to try and find you. I put myself in danger to try and bring you home. Family is everything. Family, family, family. You know, she breaks down, he almost cracks, but no, he stays strong. Then finally at Fully Loaded, he betrays the Undertaker, rejoins his family, everything's happy, and Austin walks away with the title once again. Undertaker is punished by the higher power for being so weak, and in a number one contenders match between him and Triple H to see who's going to fight Austin at Summerslam, the higher power costs the Undertaker the victory and basically expels him from the Ministry. The Ministry people start attacking the Undertaker, the person who they held so dear. Their once leader is now at their feet, a bloody mess. So, SummerSlam, Triple H versus Austin for the title. Throw in Mankind if Austin won't play ball. That's how it should be. That goes on as it did. Then, lower down on the card, a Buried Alive match. Undertaker versus Jake the Snake Roberts, who is going to be destroyed utterly. Jake Roberts can't really do that much wrestling, but he has all the Ministry on his side, so it's a huge numbers disadvantage, but Undertaker overcomes and gets to the grave. He decides to sacrifice himself for the greater good by taking the higher power out of contention, so he's in the grave, he grabs Jake the Snake Roberts, pulls him into the grave with him, a bolt of lightning hits the digger, and then suddenly all the earth falls into the grave. Undertaker, Jake the Snake Roberts, both buried alive. They're both gone from TV. Undertaker, so he can deal with his hip replacement and not aggravate his injuries anymore, and Jake Snake Roberts for good. Then Undertaker will come back as the American Badass months later. So that's how I would have booked the higher power angle. It gives you a villain with clear motivation, a reason to hate Austin and McMahon, a plan which works. It gives the Undertaker some character development. It puts Austin and McMahon on the same page, which is really weird, but also kind of fresh and compelling considering they've been feuding for a year. It writes off Vince McMahon, which is what they wanted to do, and it basically does most things you need. So that's how I would have booked it. Do you disagree? If so, tell us about it in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and you can follow me on Twitter here. So what should we do next? We take requests. I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.